The Babysitter's Last Call, a true crime in suburbia, Part 1. Just one night, it was a breezy autumn afternoon in a quiet town called Maplewood, the kind of place where everyone knew each other's names, kids played in the streets, and nothing bad ever happened. 17-year-old Emily Turner walked home from school with her backpack slung over one shoulder and her earbuds in. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Mrs. Carter, a neighbor she barely knew. "Would you be free to babysit Lily this Friday night?" Senior prom, graduation fees, and her college savings were piling up. Besides, Mrs. Carter lived just 2 blocks away. Just for a few hours. "We'd really appreciate it." "Hi, Emily." Emily stared at the screen. Babysitting. She hadn't done that in a while, but she needed the money. She arrived at 7:45 p.m., and Mrs. Carter greeted her at the door with a warm smile and the scent of expensive perfume. "I'll be back around 11. My husband and I are going to a charity dinner." "Sure." "I'd love to. What time should I come over?" That was the beginning. Friday night arrived. Emily wore jeans, a hoodie, and brought her laptop in case Lily fell asleep early. "Lily's already had dinner," Mrs. Carter said. "She's just watching cartoons upstairs. Bedtime is at 8. The landline's in the living room if you need to reach us." Mr. Carter appeared briefly, tall, quiet, barely made eye contact. Something about him felt off. Emily brushed the thought aside. She was overthinking, probably nerves. "Make yourself at home," Mrs. Carter added, handing her a sheet with emergency numbers. "There's snacks in the kitchen." By 8:15, Lily was tucked into bed. By 8:30, Emily was curled up on the couch with popcorn and a horror movie playing on low volume. The house was quiet, peaceful, until 8:46 p.m. That's when the phone rang. Part 2. The first ring. The shrill sound of the landline broke the silence like a scream in a quiet theater. Emily jumped, popcorn scattering across the couch. She stared at the phone, who still used landlines. The screen didn't show a number, just unknown caller. She hesitated, then picked it up. "Hello." There was a pause, then a deep, male voice spoke, slow and deliberate. "You should check on the child." Emily blinked. "Excuse me." Click. The line went dead. Her heart pounded. She rushed upstairs and pushed open Lily's door. The little girl was sleeping soundly, her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. Everything looked normal. Emily exhaled. A prank call. Had to be. But how did they know there was a child? She closed the door gently and went back downstairs. Her nerves buzzing, she sat on the couch and tried to focus on her movie again. 8:59 p.m. The phone rang again. Same number. Unknown caller. Emily didn't answer. She just stared at it until it stopped ringing. Then a text message appeared on her cell phone. Why didn't you check on her this time? Her stomach dropped. How would anyone get her number? Only the Carters had it. She stood up, looked around. Every window was shut. Every door, she thought, was locked. Then she saw it, the back door in the kitchen. It was open, just slightly. Part 3. The open door. Emily froze in place, staring at the back door. It wasn't wide open, just cracked, a few inches at most. But enough. Her mind raced. She knew she hadn't touched that door. She had walked through the kitchen earlier. It was definitely closed. She walked slowly toward it, every step echoing louder than it should. She reached out with shaking fingers and pushed the door shut. Click. Then she turned the deadbolt. Locked. Was someone messing with her? Maybe the Carters had a neighbor with a spare key. Maybe it was all a weird coincidence. Still, her instincts screamed that something wasn't right. She picked up her phone and tried calling Mrs. Carter. Voicemail. She tried again. Still no answer. Then she remembered the emergency numbers on the paper Mrs. Carter had left. One was the number for Mr. Carter's cell. She dialed it. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then someone answered, but no one spoke. "Hello," Emily said, "Mr. Carter." There was a long silence. And then, breathing, slow, heavy, right against the receiver, Emily hung up. She grabbed a kitchen knife and walked through the house, room by room. She checked all the windows, all the doors, every closet, every hallway, nothing. It was just her and Lily and maybe someone else. She sat back on the couch, holding the knife in one hand and her phone in the other. She didn't want to scare Lily. She didn't want to call the police over nothing. She just had to make it to 11, just 2 more hours. Then the power went out. Part 4. Total darkness. The house went black in an instant. TV off. Lights dead. The kitchen clock silent. Emily stood frozen in the living room, knife still in hand. The sudden darkness felt unnatural, like the house had been swallowed. Only the faint orange glow of a distant streetlight came through the living room window. She fumbled for her phone and turned on the flashlight. Her breath quickened. She whispered to herself, "It's just a power outage." Maybe the wind knocked something out, but outside, the neighborhood lights were still on. Other houses glowed softly down the street. Only the Carter home was in darkness. This wasn't an accident. Emily tiptoed toward the stairs, the phone light guiding her path. She had to check on Lily. Again, as she reached the top step, the floor creaked under her weight. Her flashlight swept across the hallway. Everything looked the same, but felt different. She pushed open Lily's door slowly. The little girl was still asleep, curled up under the blankets. Emily exhaled in relief. She turned to leave, but noticed something odd. The closet door was open just a few inches, not wide, just enough. She distinctly remembered closing it earlier when tucking Lily in. Emily stepped closer. "Hello," she whispered. No answer. She slowly reached for the doorknob. Suddenly, a soft thump came from inside the closet. She gasped and stumbled back, clutching the knife tighter. Then, silence. She didn't open the door. Not yet. She scooped Lily gently into her arms and carried her downstairs. The little girl stirred but didn't wake. Emily sat with her on the couch, wrapping them both in a blanket. She kept the knife nearby, her phone light on. At 9:37 p.m., her phone buzzed. New message. Unknown number. You shouldn't have gone upstairs. Part 5 of 34. The message. Emily stared at the glowing screen in her hand. You shouldn't have gone upstairs. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Her heart pounded so loud she could hear it in her ears. She dialed 911. Ring, ring, ring. A calm female voice answered. 911. What is your emergency? Emily's voice trembled. Someone is in the house. I think he's been watching me. I'm babysitting, and I think he might be inside. The dispatcher asked for the address, and Emily gave it. Officers are on the way, the voice assured her. Then came the question, is the child safe? Emily looked down. Lily was asleep in her arms, breathing softly. Yes, for now. Suddenly, from upstairs, a loud crash. Emily jumped. It sounded like a picture frame hitting the floor or a door being thrown open. She held Lily tighter and backed away toward the front door, still clutching the kitchen knife, but then she noticed something chilling. The front door lock was jammed. The keyhole looked twisted, as if it had been broken from the outside. The dispatcher was still on the line. Mom, are you safe? Do you have somewhere you can hide? Emily's voice cracked. The front door is damaged. I think he's already inside. And then, as if the house itself wanted to confirm it, a whisper echoed from the top of the stairs. Emily ... Part 6. A familiar voice. Emily's breath caught in her throat. She turned her flashlight slowly toward the staircase. The top step was empty, but the voice ... it wasn't random. It wasn't distorted. It sounded familiar, deep, slow. Almost like someone she knew, still holding Lily close. Emily whispered into the phone, "He just said my name." The dispatcher's voice grew more serious. "Emily, do not engage. Lock yourself in a room if you can and stay on the line. Officers are 3 minutes away, but 3 minutes felt like 3 hours when you're trapped." Emily's mind raced. Who would know her name? Who had her number? Who had access to this house? Then something clicked. The phone call from earlier, the breathing on Mr. Carter's line. The door that was already ajar. Could it be him? Suddenly, the TV flickered back to life for a brief second. Just static and white noise. Then it went dark again. Emily took that as a sign time was running out. She ran with Lily toward the bathroom, the only room with a thick wooden door and no windows. She locked it, then pushed the laundry basket and trash bin against the door as a makeshift barricade. Her hands shook. Lily stirred in her arms and mumbled, "Why are we hiding?" Emily forced a smile. "It's just a game, sweetie." Like hide and seek, but even she didn't believe her own words. From the hallway outside, faint, dragging footsteps crept across the floorboards, and then a soft knock on the bathroom door. Tap, tap, silence, then a whisper. "I told you not to go upstairs." Part 7. Sirens in the distance. Emily held her breath. Lily clutched her arm, sensing something wasn't right. From behind the locked bathroom door, the silence returned. No more whispers, no more footsteps, just waiting. Then, in the distance, Emily heard it. Sirens, faint at first. Then louder, a flicker of hope sparked in her chest. She whispered into the phone, still connected to the dispatcher. "I hear them. They're close. Stay calm," the voice replied. "Officers are outside. They're coming to the front door now." Emily wanted to run to them, to scream, but she couldn't leave the room. Not yet. Suddenly, bang, bang, bang. A pounding on the front door downstairs. "This is the police. Open up." Emily yelled, "We're in the bathroom upstairs. He's still inside." Seconds later, she heard a loud crash as the front door was kicked open. Multiple footsteps rushed in. Heavy boots, voices shouting, "Clear the hallway." Bedroom, clear, move up. Second floor. Then ... silence again. Too much silence. Emily unlocked the bathroom door slightly, peeking out with her phone light. An officer's flashlight appeared in the hall. "It's okay," he said gently. "You're safe now." She stepped out, still holding Lily. Her legs nearly gave out. Behind the officer, 2 others moved through the upstairs rooms, clearing each one. Then one of them stopped at Lily's room. "Ah, guys, the officer called. You need to see this." Inside the child's closet, hidden behind a row of hanging dresses, a small hole in the wall, just wide enough for a grown man to slip through, and behind it, a crawl space, dark, dusty, lined with blankets, food wrappers, a flashlight, a butcher knife, and worse, photos of Emily, of Lily, and of the Carter house, taken from outside from different angles, from different nights. Part 8. The crawl space. The attic-like crawl space behind Lily's closet was dark and narrow, barely wide enough for someone to lie down. But someone had. Recently. Detective Sam Reyes crouched by the entrance, his flashlight scanning every inch. His voice was low, steady. He's been living here for a while. Emily stood at the doorway, holding Lily tightly, trembling as she watched the officers pull out evidence one piece at a time: a stained sleeping bag, crumbs from snack bars, several empty water bottles, a disposable phone, a small, spiral notebook. Reyes flipped the notebook open. Inside were names, dates, times, each entry detailed when the Carters left the house and when Lily was alone, and then a name written over and over again. Emily Turner outside. Paramedics checked Emily and Lily. Mrs. Carter had just arrived, panicked and confused. She screamed when she saw the police tape and flashing lights. What's going on? What happened to my daughter? Is she okay? An officer pulled her aside gently to explain. Emily sat on the porch, shivering under a blanket. She kept replaying everything in her head, the calls, the open door, the whisper. She looked at Detective Reyes and asked quietly, "Do you know who he is?" He nodded grimly. "We're checking prints now." "But this wasn't random. Whoever he is, he knew you." He studied this place. Then he held up one of the photos found in the crawl space. It was a picture of Emily, taken weeks ago. She was sitting in her own bedroom, reading, taken from outside her window. Part 9. Closer than she thought. Emily couldn't stop staring at the photo in the detective's hand. It wasn't just a picture. It was proof that someone had been watching her long before that night. Peering through her window, studying her, planning. Detective Reyes knelt beside her. "Do you recognize anyone who might want to harm you? Anyone who's been acting strange lately, following you?" Emily's mind raced. Most of her days were normal: school, home, the occasional coffee shop. Her social circle was small. She wasn't the type to make enemies. Then, a face flickered in her memory. A boy from school, quiet, awkward, always in the back of the classroom. He had messaged her once, months ago, and she never replied. His name was Tyler Griggs. She told Reyes the name. He jotted it down and made a call. Minutes later, another officer returned from the crime scene with an update. "We got fingerprints from the flashlight and the notebook. They're running through the system now." Emily asked softly if it was him. "Why the Carters' house? Why Lily?" The detective looked at her. "Because that's where you were." The thought made her stomach turn. At 2:14 a.m., a match came back. Tyler Griggs, age 19, lived just 3 streets over. No previous arrests, no red flags, but recently withdrawn from school. And last seen 2 days ago by his parents, who assumed he was sleeping at a friend's house. Now he was sleeping in the Carters' walls, watching, listening, and worst of all, he still hadn't been found. Part 10. The recorder back inside the crawl space. A forensics officer discovered something wedged between the insulation panels, a small, black digital voice recorder, half buried in dust. Detective Reyes took it carefully, slipped on gloves, and pressed play. The audio crackled, then a click, then a voice. "She's home, upstairs, alone again." Emily's face went pale. It was Tyler's voice, more static. "She reads at night. Lights off by 11. They think I'm gone, but I'm here. I've always been here." Then came something that made every officer in the room stop. A second voice, deeper, older. "Don't mess it up this time. Watch, wait, be quiet." Detective Reyes paused the recording and looked around. He wasn't alone. Outside, Emily sat wrapped in a blanket, watching officers come and go. Lily had finally fallen asleep in her mother's arms. Reyes approached her slowly. "Emily, there was someone else." Another voice on the recorder, someone telling him what to do. Her eyes widened. "Like an accomplice." He nodded. "Possibly. Or someone manipulating him. But this is bigger than just one stalker in a crawl space." Reyes turned toward his team. "Check the Carter house for more hidden entry points. This guy knew what he was doing. And he wasn't working alone." At 3:06 a.m., one of the officers shouted from the basement, "Detective, you'll want to see this." Reyes rushed down. In the far corner of the basement wall, hidden behind an old wooden shelf, was a metal trapdoor in the floor. It wasn't in the house's blueprint, and it led somewhere underground.